In order to be able to get to the area I need to on this red area in front of the bumper, there's actually a little, just right around this lip, there's a break, and that's where I need to tape to be able to get that to look right. So I'm going to have to take the bumper off, which is not too hard, I hope. And then I'll get in there and tape that and sand it to 400 and go ahead and paint it. And then go in here and work on these areas that need the manifold dressing on it. So there's a before picture, and hopefully I'll get you an after picture here pretty soon. I'm not going to show me doing it all because that's just boring. It's like polishing shoes. So we'll see how it looks here in just a minute. Okay, there we are with all the naked metal finished with the manifold dressing. This stuff does a really good job. I mean, that looks nice. So now we'll move on to removing this bumper and prepping that piece for paint. Okay, here we have it with the bumper off. I just need to tape or to paint this piece up here. So I'll sand this down to 400 and get all this taped and make sure I don't get it on my new black up there, and then get that painted, and I'll show it to you when I get it finished. Just a little update. I'm kind of in the middle of the little part in front of the bumper there. Got it primed, and I'm waiting for it to dry. I'll sand it when I'm done with that, and then I'll start shooting red, and then I'll do the clear, then I'll show you guys when we're done. Okay, I am done with the red paint there, so let it dry just for a little bit, and then we'll get the plastic off, and that should be it for that, and it for tonight, because it's getting late, and the next thing I got to do is paint those black braces and stuff, so I have to get the car out of the garage to do that. So okay guys, it's the next day. Got the plastic off of the new painted area. So today I'm going to focus on trying to, so like right underneath that battery box, if you'll remember, we haven't done anything underneath there. I need to use the undercoating and finish making sure that can't get rust underneath there. And so I just remember before I do any kind of jacking up this car to get underneath there where I can work underneath that battery box, I'm going to go ahead and put all these fender bolts back in, because when you jack these things up, everything flexes, and I don't want these fenders to get out of whack. So it hasn't been moved since we took them out. So I'm going to go ahead and put all those back in. They'll be our new the bolts that we just phosphated. Aren't those phosphated bolts that just really set it off? I really like that. You know, before they were all just spray painted red with whoever painted the fender last, but that really, you know, that's the way it was from the factory, so that's cool. Now we can jack it up and get underneath it. Okay, I've got all that done up underneath the battery box there. So it's undercoated and ready to, I'm going to get the plastic off, push this thing out, and start painting up braces. Alright, I've got all these parts cleaned and ready for primer and paint. So this is motor mounts, braces for the shock tower braces, the hood latch braces, that's what that is, and shocks. I'll prime them and paint them, and that'll be one other thing finished today. Alright guys, those are all done. 3 coats of primer and 3 coats of paint. So it's the same, you know, paint as that was in the engine bay, so it's the same shine level there. So another part of it done. I'll let that dry a little bit more before I get them down, then I can get the car pulled back in, pushed back in. And then I think we will start actually assembling some stuff. Hey guys, it's the next day here. You can see I left all the parts hanging all night so they could dry really well, and got the car shoved in here. So today is the day for reassembly. So we're going to start in, probably put some shocks back in. I'm going to get all these pieces down and get them out of the way. I'll tell you one thing, I found out I am a sloppy worker. It took me 30 minutes just to get this table cleaned off enough to where I can start putting stuff back together. So I'll start with this hood latch. There's all my bolts that have been phosphated, and there's all the parts, and I've got pictures showing how it went back together, so I'll get that together and get that put back in. What I'm trying to do is anything that has to do with connecting one piece of the hood bay area together. I'm going to go ahead and connect it in case there's any kind of flexing when I put the weight of the motor in there. So like from here down, you know, that hood latch went. I don't want anything to move, you know, when I'm putting that in. So I'm going to get all that kind of stuff done. And then actually today we might get the motor put back up on the engine hoist, get it up in the air so I can put the oil pan on. Okay, so working on putting stuff back in the engine bay here. I went ahead and got the hood latch put back on, which looks cool with the phosphated latch and the black brace and everything. So happy with that. Got ready to start putting on the shocks, and I'm missing a couple rubber spacers that I need. So decided I'm going to go on over to the motor. Got it uncovered and cranked up, where I can get to the oil pan. I'm going to scrape the oil pan gasket off the old one and get everything cleaned up, get the bolts cleaned up, and go ahead and get the oil pan installed. And maybe go ahead and get that thing put back down in there on the motor mounts. Hopefully maybe get the motor installed tonight. Alright, so we have the oil pan on. Now let's wheel this thing over there and see if we can get it lifted up high enough and start sneaking it through into the engine bay. Well, that's it, guys. The motor is in. Everything is, motor mounts are all tight, bolted up. I think I got one scratch on the engine bay I can touch up, I think. Transmission is on the little holder, and it's all got bolts in it. So now I got to get this thing dropped back down and get it back on its tire so it's not hanging from the engine hoist. Oh, there we go, guys. Back on the ground. No one was killed in the incident. Nothing was destroyed. So I'm pretty happy with it. It started about 6:30 and it's about 9 now. So 2.5 hours from when I started to put it in till getting it in. Not too bad, especially if you're trying to do it by yourself. So let me catch you up to what I've been doing underneath. I do have the all the linkage hooked back up to the transmission. So that shifter is back like it's supposed to be. So all that's good. I got a couple more things to tighten up underneath there, and then I got to fill the transmission back with fluid up to the top and hook the speedometer cable back to the side of it. That's really about it underneath, I think. And then I'll be able to get back up to the top of the engine and you can see everything I'm doing. But it's really hard to get a shot down there where you can tell what you're even working on. It's just so close quarters. Oh yeah, I got to put the drive shaft on. That'd be important. Wouldn't go very far. All right, guys, I think I finally have everything underneath the car hooked up. I just now finished the linkage there, the clutch linkage. I got to put the spring on it still. But all of it's hooked up. Exhaust is all connected all the way. The starter is installed. So I think I'm back up to the top. And now I will start with wiring harness, I believe. Well, let's see. Now I might go ahead and do the battery box and get that installed because that I remember that holes didn't line up exactly right, so that might take a little while. So I'll go ahead and do that. All right, I got one of the shocks installed all the way through down to the bottom. And then I realized before I got started doing the other one that I'm missing a rubber spacer that goes underneath it. So I'm gonna have to wait and go to the parts store tomorrow and get that. So then I started on the wiring harness, got it all laid out and cleaned, and I'm gonna get ready to start installing that. Just trying to remember where everything was hooked up. All right, guys, so last night I came down and sanded down these valve covers and repainted them, make sure they were the exact same shade of blue as the rest of the engine. So now I can actually install those and actually put oil back in the motor. So that's one of the things I was waiting to do. And then I'll jump back on this and start reinstalling the wiring harness. I already got it laid out where it goes. Got some of it installed, but there's some more. You just start clipping it where it goes, and just that whole process. And then I got the rubber pieces to install this other shock over here, so we'll get that done. And it'd be really nice to actually be able to get this thing started today. There's a possibility, but we'll see how it goes. Okay, guys, it's about the moment of truth here. I think I have everything connected, all the grounds, belt, the oil is in, carburetor's all hooked up, all the wiring is connected. Have antifreeze in there, at least enough much that would fit until it starts running and pump some more in there. Hoses are all connected, wiring. So, only one other thing to do is see if this thing will start. And I mean, I'm going to have to pump and pump and pump and pump and pump, trying to get fuel back up here too. It's been months and months since it's had fuel in it. So, okay, I've got the garage door open because I'm an optimist. This is going to start. Good sign, the lights are on in neutral. Let's see if it even cranks. Hey, that's a good thing. Hey, mamma mia! Woo-hoo. That's all right. At least it started. Just got to get the card dialed back in. Sure. So that's a load off. Have this thing running again. this antifreeze down in there. Sucked it down in. That's good. I hear a little small tick over on this other side. I've got a exhaust leak right here on this donut. I can feel it with my hand. So I need to tighten that up some more. All right, it's the next day. Got a couple of things I want to do here. Last night I tightened up that flange around the exhaust right there where I had that exhaust leak that was ticking. So that's tight. We'll start it up here in a little bit and see if that fixed that problem. But first I'm going to go ahead and get the antifreeze box that goes right here that holds the excess antifreeze. There's a tube that comes back up here and goes into this. I need to get that all installed so I can let it run longer and circulate. So let's do that, and then we'll start it up. I've already got the back end dropped back down because I think I'm done underneath, but I want to make sure before I drop the front down that exhaust is fixed. So let's finish this real quick and then we'll start it up. All right, so I've got all this antifreeze stuff connected. And I still haven't started it back up yet. Tightened the exhaust as tight as I can get before I'm worried that I'm going to snap the bolt off in the manifold or something. But it is super tight, and if I still have a leak or a tick, I got to try to figure out how to fix that. And so that's all connected. I'm going to go ahead and connect the windshield washer, put the squirters back in, and run the hose over here. I just got the pump put in. So I'll install that the rest of the way, put the bag on there, and then probably drop this thing down on the ground and start her up. And I'm waiting for some parts before I finish hooking up the rest of the headlight parts and all that. I've got some fasteners that were missing from the original that I'm going to install. Windshield washer, squirters all connected and mounted, hooked up. So I'm going to start this thing and just back it out a little bit and let it run. Alright, we've reached our normal operating temperature on the motor. So I'm going to check the timing. I got the timing light hooked up. Alright, so I've got a little bit more tweaking to do on that. Seems a couple things. I'm going to work on the timing a little bit more to get it exactly right. So it'll run a little bit rough. And then the choke does not seem to want to set whenever I start it for the first time when it's cold. So I'll work on those things. Put the little finishing touch here on. Where is it? Alright, there's a 289. Only thing I got left to do, the big job, is get the hood put on. I'm waiting on a couple bolts for the hood hinges. So should be here tomorrow, and we'll be wrapping this baby up. Got ready to start putting the grill in, and as I took off the fog light section to just clean up some stuff, realized that this grill is pretty bad shape. So this is the original 66 grill. And you can see we've got broken pieces here. This is all aluminum. We've got some of the rivets that have pulled out, and these are rivets that you have to have a special type of tool to put them back in, which I don't have. And it's just going to take quite a bit of work to get it. It would never look great. So I'm going to go ahead and order a replacement grill, and I'll probably fit it to accept fog lights, because most of these come without the fog light stuff, since most cars weren't GTs. So I have to install these pieces to hold the fog lights, and then it's got some kind of weird hardware on it that I know is not correct. So I'm going to have to find the right bolts and stuff to hold this in. Somebody's messed with it over the years. But other than that, there's a couple of things I can do. while I'm waiting on that. So let's go ahead and get these headlight surround pieces back on. Got the hood on, car's running. I'm getting ready to back it out of here for the first time in many months. Still missing the grill, waiting on that to come in. Here we go. Alright, so here are these pieces that I just got ready. There's the horn, of course, sandblasted and painted. There's the fog light brackets, and they're the original ones. And it says top right hand and some top left hand. And they will go on this. Unfortunately, I had to buy a reproduction grill. Mine was just too bad a shape, but it does have the holes for these fog light brackets, so that's good. Okay, let's see how we did on the horns. Hopefully we got good connection. I kind of sounded a little sick there, but it worked. Alright, everything's ready on the car. I've got the bolts all tightened down. I checked to make sure this grill is going to fit. Got it ready to go on. And then, of course, the last little piece I have to put on the grill were these fog lights. And I'm missing the little screws that go right in there. So I'm going to have to go to town, go to the store, and make sure I can find the right thread screws to fit in there. But the grill is looking nice. So I'll run in town, 2 more screws, and put it on. We should be done. Okay, I got the screws I need. There it is, all put together. Let's get it put on the car. Be done. Okay, that's the last of it. So let's check and make sure the fog lights work. Let's get this thing cleaned up and maybe go take it on a spin. Hey guys, so we're finally done with the 66 project. It's been a long time, a few months since we took the engine out, and we've got it all back together. Happy with the way it turns out. Didn't really do that much on the outside. We did have the hood painted. We had if you guys remember, there was a dent right here. So that Body Man Mike replaced that and matched it up super good, I think. There's a good match paint. There's the engine. So you can see the engine's bay is all done. The engine's all painted. Everything is, we tried to get as close as we could within reason to the way it was at the factory, like with the manganese phosphate. You remember those? The shock tower tops and the hood hinges and latches and everything else that was that way originally. So it's 4-speed 289 A code. The interior has all been redone, new carpet. But for now, we're just going to go take a little fun drive with it and enjoy the fruits of our labor.
And always remember, don't retire it if you can rebuild it. Thanks so much, guys, for tuning in and watching this week's episode of Rebuild It. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on any awesome content. Have a good one.